You've probably been told the gas industry is somehow a huge contributor to Australia's collective wealth. And considering that Australia is the second biggest exporter of LNG in the world, you would expect that to be the case. But the Australian government collects more from both HECS and taxes on tobacco than from the main tax that's supposed to make sure Australians benefit from the extraction of our gas and oil resources. And that sounds pretty bad. And yeah, it really is. The PRRT, or Petroleum Resource Rent Tax, was introduced in 1988 to make sure Australians benefit from the oil and gas that we collectively own and that mining companies profit from. Think of it like how a bricklayer has to buy the bricks they use and pay tax on the money they earn. Gas companies have to buy the gas from the Australian people, as well as paying tax. But what does the rent part mean? Isn't that to do with housing? Well, in this case, rent is just a fancy economics way of saying super or excess profits. So when you see Petroleum Resources Rent Tax, think of super profits tax of oil and gas. And here's where it gets sneaky. The tax is applied either when the gas or oil is sold or when it's transformed into something else sellable, like LNG. This works well for the relatively straightforward process of oil extraction, for which the PRRT was designed. It also works well for gas if the company that extracts the gas sells it to another company for processing. But in Australia, it's often the same company that extracts and sells the gas. This means that companies can understate how valuable the gas is before being made into LNG, which is the taxable part, and then selling it for massive profit as LNG, and it gets worse. No matter how profitable a gas project might be, the PRRT doesn't even apply until the company has generated enough profit to cover all of its capital spending, which includes things like the cost of building expensive offshore gas rigs. And if they don't make these costs back in the first year, the difference can be carried forward to be used as deductions into future years. So for example, if a company spent $1 million on equipment in 1 year, it could deduct $1 million from the following year's PRRT bill. But the PRRT also allows a thing called uplift rates, which work basically like an interest rate that the company charges the tax office. So if a company carries forward $1 million, a 10% uplift rate would mean that $1.1 million would be deducted from next year's tax bill. And if this is carried forward again, $1.21 million would be deducted in the next year. And again, and again. This can mean the PRRT may not be payable for decades, despite massive windfall profits. So basically, the loopholes in the PRRT are so big, you could fit a gas tanker through them. Australians deserve to get our fair share of our natural resources. And if you agree, you should sign our open letter calling for an increase to the PRRT in the description.
Thanks for watching. Visit australiainstitute.org.au for all our latest research, commentary and analysis, as well as details for upcoming events and webinars.